Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for inviting me here. I was here last year, and it's great to sort of see the progress you all have made, and it has an appetizer for more. But let's today explore a bit the future of our landscapes, the future of design. I want to show you some examples which are about clean air, clean water, clean energy, for me, the true beauty of design. But before we dive into that, I thought I would start with a question to you all, which is maybe very important, because we talk about innovation and design and sustainability, all these words. But I think it's also very personal. It's something which is very personal. Do you know why you cannot tickle yourself? It's a question I asked myself a couple of weeks ago. Why can you not tickle yourself? Guys, I'm not being rhetorical here. Like, hello? Why? Come on, you're smart people. Why can you not tickle yourself? Anticipation, exactly. There is no surprise. So if the moment I try to tickle myself now, my body is like, no, and it's programmed to ignore. But the moment you would tickle your neighbor right now, hypothetically, of course, then you would get an interaction. And that's very interesting. So it sort of proves that some experiences we cannot do alone. You have to work together in order to make it happen. And I think that's, for me, the essence of making new things, of tickling each other and finding these new connections. It's in our body in that way. So I'm from the Netherlands, as you see on the screen. This is the Afsluitdijk, the famous 32-kilometer dam built by hand to protect us. So on the left, you see the sea, and on the right, you see the Netherlands. So design, creative thinking is in the landscape where I grew up, where I built my tree huts. If this doesn't work, we all drown in the Netherlands. Very simple. And it's interesting because if we would have been very rational, very pragmatic, we would have just moved to Germany. Because who fights against water? You know, like, we're not going to do that. But we didn't. And we used design, and we stayed. It's part of our culture, part of our tradition. We got a commission from the Ministry of Infrastructure to renovate it, to redesign it, and to enhance the beauty of this great sort of Zen line in the middle of the water. Built by hand in 1932. It's like holy. Like cows are in India, or croissant in Paris, or what's holy in Singapore? No chewing gum. No, what's holy in... Come on. Come on. Okay, anyway, we'll get back to that. So normally you cannot touch, but this time we got a chance to touch it. And we had the goal to not add more objects. Sometimes designing is about undesigning things, removing things, instead of adding. So we started to look at what is already there. And this is already there, 60 floodgates. So they open and close the gates to let the water in and out. Designed by Daan Roosegaarde, the grandfather of Rem Koolhaas, long time ago. And beautiful, they look like temples. But when we saw them 4 years ago, it was horrible. All the concrete was rotten and very bad maintenance, etc. So we got the finance to renovate them as a monument. And at the same time, we wanted to do something with light, interactivity, technology, poetry, all these great words. But in first client briefing, the client said, no maintenance. You cannot do maintenance. Because if we have to do maintenance on your piece, we have to shut down this road. And it's only one road, so everybody gets crazy. No maintenance. And second is, no technology. Because it's very harsh environment. Salt, water, rain, wind. So if you use sensors, microchips, or cameras or stuff like that, or LED, it would break down within 2 or 3 years. Big problem. So we had a lot of restraints. And at the same time, that was sort of interesting. So we started to sort of look at the blueprints, the sketches of the original architect. And we also started to wonder, okay, we want to make something poetic, but of course there's already light present on this highway, which is the light of... Guys, I'm not being... What kind of light is already there? The sun, yeah. And what else? The moon, the stars, yeah. Very poetic, yes. What else? The cars, very good. There's already the lights of the cars. That's interesting. So we started to work on the most retroreflective material which we could find. Back to the lab with the industry, starting to making the most light reflective material which is out there, inspired by the wing of a butterfly. And we talked about it this morning. If you ever feel desperate in search of meaning of life, you look at the wing of a butterfly. Now, it's really amazing. So the pigment of your clothes will fade away because of UV, not the wing of a butterfly. On the nano level, it reflects, it manipulates, it distorts light, and that's why the color always remains very vivid without coating or maintenance, etc. So we took our Minister of Infrastructure, this young lady, started to drag the client into the story. And 3 years later, we renovated them, these floodgates. They look like monuments, like temples. And this is at night. So you can go there every night to the Netherlands, no ticket needed. Can we dim the lights a bit? So this is the gateway towards the Afsluitdijk and potentially a gateway to a new world. Short movie. So no battery, no LED, no cables, no wires, no solar panel, just the headlights of the car. And when there are no cars, there's no light pollution. And it was sort of great to sort of, on one hand, to celebrate the sketch of the architect, the monument, heritage, we're proud of it, but also to make something which is energy neutral, which is enhancing the safety. Why do we have streetlights burning the whole night when nobody's there? It doesn't make sense. And to sort of merge this sort of very practical with very poetic elements, ingredients, made something which sort of worked and works. And life is and life becomes like you're driving through Tron, which is also not bad. Yeah. So this is public, and you can go there every night. Or here, energy harvesting kites, green energy. Everybody wants it, but not in our backyard with the windmills. So we became fascinated with this. These are kites, smart kites. They float high in the air, and they generate power, electricity. An old idea by Wubbe Ockels, famous Dutch astronaut, who went to space, came enlightened, came back and said, okay, we're doing it wrong with planet Earth. We have to design our way out of it. We have to engineer better to improve. And he had the dream of making smart kites, which stay up in the air for weeks, maybe months, filled with tech. And because they're searching for the optimal wind, they're sort of moving around all the time, and they're connected via the ground with a cable, yes? But because of the wind, it's sort of pushing and pulling on that cable. So we designed a sort of ground station on the floor, which, like a dynamo, pushes and pull, and therefore generates power. Wubbe Ockels had this idea, but he died in 2014. Never got a chance to realize it. I was in the archive doing my homework for this project. I saw an interview of him, a video interview, where he said, how beautiful would it be to have this project on the Afsluitdijk, on this famous dam? And I'm like, we're going to do that. We're going to take his idea, spend some love, time, money, and energy, and make it happen. And so this is live now on the dike, floating kites high up in the air, generating energy. A short movie. And we decided to make the lines light emitting. So this is the ground station, sort of pushing and pulling like a dynamo, 20 to 100 kilowatt. Experimenting with different sizes, putting cameras in the top so we could stream live, visitors could log in as if Wubbe Ockels was watching from heaven. Each kite can produce 20 to 100 kilowatts. That's enough for 100, 150 households per hour. Wow. Energy is everywhere. All we have to do is start to harvest it. This is the widow of Wubbe Ockels. So she came to the opening. She's like sort of holding on to him. That was really beautiful. Yeah. Or last thing. What is this? What are we looking at? I'm not going to say it. Water? Bioluminescence. Ooh, very good. These are one of the oldest microorganisms in the world, 700 billion year old microorganism. And they live in the sea. And they give light. No battery, no electricity bill. Amazing. I'm a diver. I go diving at night. And when you move your hand through the water, 10, 15 meter deep, they sort of wake up, they light up. And so in the last 2 years, we've been working with a team of designers and engineers to make the most light-emitting algae in the world, which will live long, months, maybe years. And we started to flood historical buildings on this dam to think about the future of light and the future of energy and making the most light-emitting algae which is currently existing. So the space is sort of dark. And when you walk on top of them, over them, they sort of wake up and they give light. This is pure nature. Of course, you need to design it in the right climate because they're real divas, these algae. It's really horrible. So, because if it's like 1 degree up, they're like, no, we're not going to do anything. And if it's 1 degree below, like 20 degrees, they're also like, no, we're not going to do anything. But besides divas, they're also cowards. Because if one part of the colony sort of stops doing anything, it sort of copies this behavior to the other colony, and they're also not doing anything. So it took us 2 years to sort of figure out what they want, which is vitamin B12, a certain type of temperature, and a sort of little rubber mat that they live in. Anyway, we figured it out, and this makes living light. You can drink this, literally. Okay, maybe you get a little bit of diarrhea, but still, I mean. That's a small price to pay. So what? So what can we learn from nature to improve our life, especially in a place like Singapore? How can we bring back principles from nature to upgrade, to improve, to make places which are good for people? It's not just future and technology. It's also going back to history, learning from it and implementing it. And maybe this is the streetlight of the future. But to conclude, and the algae, of course, as a building block for food, for fuel, etc. But maybe to conclude, I can show you all the greatest projects in the world. And we had great designers already. Ole Scheere, Hedderwick, Dixon. I mean, you had some great people here already. But what I realize is that the most difficult part of making sure that this becomes part of the new standard instead of just the special is that you have to have courage. You have to have curiosity. Again, I can present all the best stuff in the world to you with my colleagues, but it's meaningless if it's not embedded. So I want to end this short lecture by showing you how difficult it is and how important it is to embrace change. This is a short movie by New York Times filming people, Finnish people, who are jumping from a 10-meter tall tower in a swimming pool. And some embrace change and others a little bit less. Short movie. Sound up a bit.
Jag vill inte vara sån, men det är lite högre än vad det ser ut. Därför.
I love that people have their own ritual, just to sort of, like, forget it, I'm not doing this. And she leaves. She leaves the stage. She quits. But fortunately, there's a small, like a lady hero. Let's do this. And she jumps. So we're struggling. We know we want, but we're also struggling. We're hesitating. No, let's just start. Lights down. In 1 minute. It's not going to change. It's still there. But wait for it, wait for it. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's not be afraid. Let's be curious and let's be experts. Thank you very much.